When it comes to TV shows, everyone has their favorites. Some people love dramas, others prefer comedies, but when it comes to Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, I just don't get the obsession. These shows have huge followings. Fans can't stop talking about them. Yet, for me, they miss the mark. I tried watching Game of Thrones when it first came out. Despite all the hype, I found myself struggling to stay engaged. The same goes for House of the Dragon. It didn't capture my interest. So, what is it about these shows that people love? And why don't they work for me? We'll look at plot complexity, character development, and world building. Let's start by exploring the complex plot lines. Game of Thrones is known for its intricate plot. There are multiple storylines running at the same time. Each episode is packed with events. For some viewers, this is exciting. It keeps them on their toes. They love the twists and turns. But for others, it's overwhelming. Too many characters, too many plots. It's hard to keep track. In House of the Dragon, the plot complexity continues. The story dives into the history and politics of the Targaryen family. Fans appreciate the depth, they enjoy piecing together the puzzle, but if you're like me, it feels like too much effort. Simpler shows with straightforward plots appeal to me more. Think of Friends or The Office. You don't need a family tree to understand what's going on. Next, let's talk about character development and why it's another divisive element. Character development in Game of Thrones is intense. Characters evolve drastically over time. They start one way and end up completely different. This deep character growth is a big draw for many fans. They get invested in these characters. They care about their journeys. But for me, it's another story. Take Daenerys Targaryen, for example. She begins as a timid girl and becomes a powerful queen. Her transformation is dramatic. Fans loved her rise to power. But her sudden shift to madness in the final season left many confused. It felt rushed and out of character. This inconsistency is frustrating. In House of the Dragon, the focus is on a new set of characters. Again, they are complex and multi-layered. Fans find this depth appealing. However, I prefer characters that are more consistent. Now let's move on to world building and its role in these shows. World building is a huge part of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. The creators have built an entire universe. It's complete with its own geography, history, and cultures. For many fans, this is fascinating. They love exploring this detailed world. It adds depth to the story and makes it more immersive. Westeros, the main setting, is vast and diverse. There are different kingdoms, each with its own unique features. The world feels real and lived in. Fans spend hours discussing the lore and history. This level of detail is impressive. But for me, it's too much. I prefer shows set in familiar settings. Think of Stranger Things or Breaking Bad. These shows are set in the real world or close to it. The focus is on the characters and their stories, not the world they live in. Next, let's compare these shows to other popular series to see what sets them apart. Section 5. Comparing to other popular series, a broader view. When we compare Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon to other popular series, some differences stand out. Take Stranger Things, for example. It's a mix of sci-fi and horror set in the 1980s. The plot is straightforward, focusing on a group of kids facing supernatural threats. The characters are relatable and the setting is familiar. Another example is Breaking Bad. It's a crime drama about a high school teacher turned drug lord. The plot is intense but easy to follow. The characters are complex but consistent. The setting is real world, making it more accessible. These elements make the shows appealing to a broader audience. In contrast, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon are set in a fantasy world. The plots are intricate, and the characters are constantly evolving. This makes the shows unique, but also niche. Now let's explore the allure of fantasy worlds and why they captivate so many. Section 6. The allure of fantasy worlds. Fantasy worlds have a unique charm. They offer an escape from reality. In Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, viewers can explore a world filled with dragons, magic, and epic battles. This is a big draw for fans. It's a chance to immerse themselves in a completely different universe. These fantasy elements are not present in everyday life. They provide a sense of wonder and adventure. Fans love the unpredictability and the grand scale of the story. However, this is also where the shows lose me. I prefer stories grounded in reality. The next section will look at the role of violence and shock value in these shows. Section 7. The role of violence and shock value. Game of Thrones is notorious for its violence and shock value. The show doesn't shy away from graphic scenes. battles are bloody, and character deaths are often brutal and unexpected. This has become a trademark of the series. Some fans love it. It keeps them on edge. They never know what to expect. But for others, including myself, it's a turnoff. The violence feels excessive. It's often used to shock rather than to serve the story. This can be off-putting and even disturbing. It detracts from the plot and the characters. Instead of adding depth, it feels like a cheap trick to grab attention. Violence and shock value can be a double-edged sword. In the next section, we'll explore the political intrigue that is central to these fantasy shows. Section 8. Political intrigue, a draw or a bore. Political intrigue is a cornerstone of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. The shows are filled with scheming, plotting, and betrayal. This adds a layer of complexity to the story. Fans who enjoy political drama find this fascinating. They love the power struggles and the backstabbing. However, for some viewers, this can be tedious. The endless plotting and scheming get tiresome. It's hard to keep track of who's allied with whom. The constant betrayals can feel repetitive and predictable. It's like watching a never-ending chess game, and not everyone finds that entertaining. Political intrigue adds depth to the story, but it's not for everyone. It can be a draw for some and a bore for others. Next, let's discuss the role of marketing and publicity in the success of these shows. Section 9. The Hype Machine, Marketing and Publicity. Marketing and publicity play a huge role in the success of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. These shows have massive marketing campaigns. From trailers to merchandise, they are everywhere. This creates a buzz and builds anticipation. Fans get excited and the hype grows. The shows also benefit from word of mouth. Fans talk about them constantly. Social media is filled with discussions and theories. This creates a sense of community. People want to be part of the conversation. They watch the shows to stay in the loop. But for those who are not fans, the hype can be annoying. It feels like the shows are being shoved down our throats. Next, let's explore the gap between viewer expectations and reality. Section 10. Viewer expectations versus reality. Viewer expectations play a huge role in how we perceive a show. Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon come with high expectations. The hype and marketing build them up. Fans expect epic storylines, complex characters, and stunning visuals. When the shows deliver, fans are thrilled. But when they fall short, the disappointment is palpable. For example, the final season of Game of Thrones was highly anticipated. Fans had high hopes, but many felt let down. The plot felt rushed, and character arcs were unsatisfying. This created a backlash. The reality didn't match the expectations. High expectations can be a double-edged sword. They can elevate a show but also set it up for failure. Now let's wrap up with a conclusion and open up for a broader discussion on entertainment preferences. Section 11. Conclusion, personal views, and broader discussion on entertainment preferences. In conclusion, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon are cultural phenomena. They have captivated millions of viewers with their intricate plots, complex characters, and detailed world building. They offer an escape into a fantasy world filled with political intrigue and epic battles. For many, this is thrilling and engaging. However, these same elements can be off-putting for others. The plot complexity, character development, and violence might feel overwhelming. The hype and high expectations create pressure. And for those who prefer realism and straightforward storytelling, these fantasy worlds don't resonate. It's clear that entertainment preferences are deeply personal. What works for one person may not work for another. So, let's open up the discussion. What shows do you love and why? Do you agree or disagree with my views on Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon? Let's celebrate our diverse tastes and enjoy the rich tapestry of entertainment available to us.